Hello and welcome to the Rhythm Changes podcast. I am your host, Chris Fraser. Thank you for joining me. I'm very excited to present today's episode featuring Montreal's own Bellbird. Bellbird consists of saxophonist Claire Devlin, clarinetist and saxophonist Allison Burik, and former Vancouverites bassist Eli Devdavici and Mili on drums. They'll tell the band's origin story in the episode, but the short version is they released their debut album in 2023 and have since been touring, continue to write and evolve their sound. In this episode, we go pretty deep into their process of composition, either as individuals or as a collective unit, what their methods are, what they've tried, how their compositions can change over time, among other fun and interesting topics of conversation. I've personally known Mili and Eli for a very long time, and I have also been lucky enough to be able to work with Claire and Allie on my own projects. And they're all just awesome people that are wonderful to talk to. So this is just a really good episode of the podcast, okay? So without any further ado, here's my conversation with Bellbird. My guests today are a dynamic and exciting quartet hailing from Montreal. They're currently wrapping up a West Coast tour and are releasing a follow-up to their fantastic debut release, Root in Tandem, later this year. I'm so happy to finally have Bellbird on the podcast. Welcome to my apartment, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
What's cracking? How's it been? How long have you been in Vancouver now?
Since
This trip.
Just over a week now.
Yeah.
Most of us got in like last Saturday, and it's been really rainy.
Yeah. Well, I guess you just missed the snow, what we like to call snow, at least.
Yeah, we dodged the Montreal snow too.
That's right. Yeah. I heard it was
The
actual
extreme snow.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really nice. We played a couple of gigs in town as Bellbird,
Yes.
as well as like going to the Sunshine Coast for a night
Mm-hmm.
and playing some other random gigs in different combinations of us, including with you.
Yeah, that was great. That was a lot of
Yeah, that
fun.
was swinging.
Yeah,
That was great.
Yeah.
It was swanging. It was good. Thanks for swanging with me, guys.
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Well, not anytime. It's only whenever you're here. But I appreciate I appreciate the sentiment. I'll take you up on that, actually. Yeah. How's next week?
Bad.
Not
Yeah.
next week. Maybe week after.
Mili, you're not done. You're not done playing gigs in town.
Yeah, I have. Bellbird actually has a master class at CAP.
Oh yeah.
11:30
Oh,
a.m.
man.
The lunch workshop for 113, which I am kind of nervous going back to the school where I learned music. But
I'm
I'm
going back to teach music.
yeah, it's weird. But also playing with Gordy, Lee, Faven, and Cole
Yeah.
at Painted
The
Ship.
Painted Ship. Yeah.
Yeah, which
in Kitsilano.
yeah, I've never been there, but I'm sure
Yeah.
it'd be fun.
Yeah, that's an Infidels show, right?
Yes, I think so.
Do you know what's the music you're going to play with Gordy?
Gordy sent me a bunch of things, mostly a lot of beats, lots of drum beats.
Okay, cool.
So I think it'd be fun. Just
Nice.
mostly improvised.
Great.
100% improvised.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Cuz like with the way that Gordy promotes shows, it's like it's so cryptic.
Yeah, cryptic Gen Z
Yeah.
memes.
It's like it's a
On
whole
top of
other
memes.
level of marketing that I'm not really privy to, but it works cuz like people notice it and people like
Yeah.
they like take note of it.
Marketing is such a mystery these days.
Yeah. Exactly.
Who knows how to get people to shows?
Yeah, and this is
Yeah.
this is a kid in like his early 20s, and like he just do you know this guy?
No, I just saw. I met him
He's at the-
yesterday for
yeah.
the first time.
He's been on the podcast before. He's a very interesting guy. He's a really good saxophone player, and yeah, he just posts whatever he wants on his stories all the time, and you just don't. I don't get it most of the time, but I kind of like appreciate it because you guys probably understand the sort of like how we have to, I guess, curate what what our output is as artists, and like have to be very careful about what we
have to like
post.
have a brand or whatever.
Yeah, you have to have a brand, and you
Yeah.
can't, and like you can't for lack of a better term, you can't shit post. Like if you want to be like a professional artist, or I guess that's the idea, right?
Or if
Well-
you do, then it has to become a whole part of your brand, and you
Yeah,
have to be
I
consistent
guess so.
and have
Yeah,
a-
Exactly.
maybe Gordy's like trapped himself into like a
yeah.
Yeah, you can't make boring like boomer posts. anymore,
yeah,
like
yeah.
us.
Yeah, he can't just plainly say, "I'm playing here."
Yeah, it can't be genuine or like earnest.
It
Yeah.
has to be, there has to be 5 levels of
Yeah.
irony on top of everything. But I'm not saying anything bad about how Gordy does it, because like I think he's just trying to figure out how to do it like everybody else, right? Like
Totally.
there obviously isn't a playbook that works for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we've found like if we're doing a tour or we have some
Mhm.
gigs, we'll try and make these ads out of reels or whatever, like make a post or a reel and then turn that into an ad
Yeah.
on the Meta business thing. Ugh, horrible. And that actually has been kind of helpful. Like we do get
Yeah.
a bunch of followers from those ads. It's kind of, it makes me dark, but it's also good that it kind of works, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, also
Yeah.
for the album release, we did all these things that were like reels and videos we made of ourselves to kind of like get people's attention.
Yeah.
And that was probably the most cringe we've
Yeah.
been.
Yeah, it was
like there's like a
brutal.
video I did where I was like, "Hey everyone, I found this picture I made back when we started recording and I made them delete it because it was so embarrassing. I humiliated myself in front of the world just for
For the content.
For the content.
Yeah.
And yeah, just
I
thinking about
remember
that,
that.
I'm like, I feel myself just like wanted to go hide in a hole somewhere.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I find that like it is like a funny thing. Like for most people, like looking into the camera and talking is very painful to do.
Yeah, and then watching it back after. And
Yeah, and
hearing
it becomes
your voice, and
yeah,
seeing
it
your
becomes
face.
like a thing you have to keep looking at. Like yeah,
totally.
like I feel like stories are fun that way, where at least like yeah, good
Ephemeral.
word, perfect word for it. Yeah, exactly. Where you just have an idea and you post it and then that's it. That's like that. I feel like I've interacted with Steph's here too, by the way.
Hi guys.
Busy's here too. Yeah. It's a family affair. Sorry?
Should we introduce ourselves at some point?
Well, I mean, interesting, but I, yeah, sure. So we have, from right to left, from my right to left, we have Allison Burik, Claire Devlin, Eli Davidovici, and Mili Hong. Mili Millions Hong.
What's up?
All members of Bellbird. I I had this idea actually for interviewing you guys, because to me you guys are like, you're a band, which is really
Yeah.
cool, and like you're not unlike a boy band in a way.
Yeah, true.
I can think of a couple of ways we're not, but yeah.
In a way, there's one way.
You're recruited by the
And
CIA.
that you're a band. And I thought of like borrowing some questions from some interviews with the Backstreet Boys.
That's
Oh my
amazing. Yes,
Oh,
please.
that's good, yeah.
I think we're more like S Club 7, actually.
Oh, okay. Let me look for
Wow.
some S Club ones. Yeah,
Wow.
you're right actually.
I mean,
but
Mili almost has frosted tips right now. It's like almost
What?
frosted tips on your
Yeah, Mili does have a frosted tip
Your
situation.
hair.
Yes, I
right
do
now.
have frosted tips.
Yep. How have all of your hair changed since the band started?
Don't ask me that question.
Oh man, I went through a gnarly bangs phase.
Yeah?
I moved to Montreal and I was like, I want to be Parisian, and I had bangs.
Yep.
And it
As
was
you do in Montreal.
yeah, I know. And it was just one of the most brutal phases of my hair evolution. And now I just have shaved
So what did it
sides.
turn out that Montreal hair is then?
I mean, there is no Montreal hair. I think
Yeah.
I was just
I think a shave gets you closer, though.
Yeah.
Some kind of side shave like you have.
Yeah, you do have a an undercut. going.
Yeah, I have like the double-sided situation.
I feel like that's like the Ali Burik look. Like to me, at least.
Yeah.
I've only known you with the.
But me
with
and
that.
Mili met Ali when they had bangs. So I had a totally different impression of you than your actual personality
Wait,
turned
I
out to
need to
be.
see a picture of these bangs.
No.
I'm not gonna look at them now.
I feel like that was like back when I was a girl. Like, and then I shaved and was like, oh, actually, no longer.
Right, just like one more haircut just to see.
Yeah. My last shot at
Just to
like,
check.
trying to identify.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
with
How's
my-
this gonna fly? And you're like, okay, all right, now we
Yeah.
know. Now we know.
Now we know.
Recently, someone was like asking me who you were, or like was trying to remember like the alto saxophonist on some gig, and they described you as like the futuristic looking person in a jumpsuit.
That's amazing. Yeah, the jumpsuits and the shaves.
Yeah,
I mean, that's it.
That's
Yeah.
like how movies portray
That's
people in the
true.
future. It's just like
Jumpsuits?
Yeah,
shaved
that's
heads
true.
and jumpsuits.
Yeah, you
My
are like
aesthetic
the
is
most
Hunger Games.
cyberpunk person here.
Yeah.
I'd say.
That's very kind.
Yeah.
That's
I'll take the cyber part.
Okay. Let me. This is a good question. This will just work. How did you guys come together?
marriage. We all married Eli. Just kidding.
We have like a mini documentary of our first album on YouTube. And
What's up with Mili?
and
Mili. I called busy Mili for a second.
So
So
on this documentary, Ali has this like story that's like not completely true, but it kind of is a good story. You know, like how we all started playing in the park, and then
Oh yeah.
like someone, you know, this was after COVID, so we were still outdoors
So like a
playing
COVID
music.
thing, yeah.
And then like someone brought in an original tune, and then it all kind of, you know, like evolved gradually, naturally. But that's not really what happened. That's half true, because we were playing in the park, but Claire wasn't around for a bit. And then I think we got an Ottawa Jazz Fest gig that Claire did.
Yeah, I got a gig at the Ottawa Jazz Fest, and I was like, Allie, what should I do for this gig? And then they were like, let's make a band with Mili and Eli. So it didn't happen naturally. It was entirely forced.
Yeah. To me, it felt natural.
No, of
But-
course.
But,
Well, how much more natural can it get, really? I mean, like you have a gig and you get a band together for the gig. You already have experience playing with each other by that point, just not as
Not as
a
the
band
four of us,
officially.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and
Um,
we were like really stoked to do it because it sounded like it did sound like an obvious thing to do.
Yeah.
So like, you know, two people wanted to play with more, but like in a more, rather than just like sessions and playing tunes, like, or free, like actually like working on music together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we
And having it be a collective right from the beginning. Where, like,
totally,
And we had to come up with a band name. And so we had a different band name than Bellbird, which was called Acorn Hat.
Whoa.
But someone can explain this. better
Acorn
than-
hat?
Yeah, acorn hat. Yeah.
It
Oh
was-
man, I
it
need to
was,
know what that means.
I think it was a cute little foresty name.
Yeah.
But
It was.
it's because we live in
Acorn-
Quebec, and we found out that like the translation in French was
Like like acorn is gland, which is also
also like a male sexual organ.
and so it's just like the hat of the gland,
Right.
which leads to a really hilarious visual and not
Yeah.
necessarily a good band name.
Yeah, yeah.
especially not for us.
Less cute that way.
You can't pull it off.
Less cute.
Less cute,
yeah.
less foresty. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you know, you gotta have some stinkers first, right? And
Yeah.
And we changed our name before we like, you know, really started making stuff happen. So
Yeah.
it's good timing.
We rebranded early.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. I mean, I feel like it's good that you guys formed in in Montreal then.
Yeah.
So we
how would
found
we
out
know?
early.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
that's
wouldn't have,
true.
you wouldn't have had that realization probably until it was way too late.
Yep.
Yeah. We'd never be able to play in Quebec.
Yeah.
But it's not like you would. It's not like you would translate the band name,
Well, most like I don't know. I
or
think it
maybe
happened-
like specifically in Quebec they would make.
Yeah,
it.
if you meet a French person, you're like, "This is my band," and they don't speak English at all,
Yeah.
you translate just so they know that they have a visual
Sure.
or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
okay,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Or like
In a
not
specific
everyone,
situation,
not
it could
everyone
happen.
knows the word for acorn. It's not like a super
Exactly. Yeah.
like everyday word you use. So someone could be pretty fluent in English, be like, "Oh, what does acorn translate to?"
Which is exactly what happened. So I was working at this musical instrument repair shop in Montreal, and I was telling my coworkers, like, "Oh, I'm in this band. We're called Acorn Hat," and one of my coworkers didn't speak or hardly speaks English, and she was like, "What is the translation?" And I was like, "Acorn." I like looked it up on my phone,
And it was
Grand
gland.
chapeau.
And then she just starts cracking up. And then everyone else in the shop was like, "What is going on?" And we explained, and it was an event. And then I came home after that day at work, and I was like, "Claire, we can't name the
Guys,
band
I
Acorn."
guys, I have really bad news about
Yeah.
the band name.
Yeah, so that's the evolution.
it's all been uphill from since.
yeah, that's right. So then Bellbird, who came up with Bellbird?
You probably brought in the name because we
Yeah.
remember we workshopped a lot of names
Mhm.
as we usually do for every album we make. Takes us a while to like find the right name.
My Instagram and social media feed knows that I like weird animal facts.
Cool.
And so I think it probably fed me like a video of the white bellbird in the Amazon.
Nice.
And I was like, "Oh shit, the loudest bird in the world." And then I kind of pocketed that away in my brain and came to a bellbird hang.
This would be a good time for Will to like throw in the actual sound of the bellbird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause
it is
Okay,
this
everyone,
crazy
everyone,
sound.
just give it. So that's where it would go.
Yeah.
Is that about as long as the call is?
I mean, you could even. I mean, there's a couple different ones. Honestly.
Okay.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
there's a couple different ones.
Okay. Yeah. Will can stuff those in right there. That's so that is the thing about the bellbird is that it's the loudest bird. Cool.
It would be great if Will just like accidentally or like intentionally put like a rooster in there instead of the bellbird.
Just Will making a sound with his mouth.
Yeah, a chickadee. Yeah. It's just like a chickadee. It's just super loud.
Terrifying.
Yeah. And so you have this gig at the Ottawa Jazz Fest, and is the idea yet that you're going to be doing, because I know you guys do a lot of collective composition these days, were you doing that yet, or was it mostly just sort of like scrambling to bring all your tunes and like have a set ready? What was that?
Well, we didn't write together as much as we all had brought in our
Yeah.
own tunes, and even the record turned out to be like 2 tunes each.
Okay.
So eight tracks total, and we did a little bit of arranging together, I think, but like
Okay.
it was mostly like bringing in like completed compositions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But has that changed, especially with this new record coming?
Yeah, this year especially, like, since last spring,
Yeah.
we've been doing this collective composition thing, which is such a different process for coming
Yeah.
up with tunes, and it's been really fun. It takes time though.
Yeah.
Like we started last spring. We did this kind of DIY residency in Montreal. We just set aside 2 weeks where we like didn't take any gigs, and we basically, Allie and I went over to Mili and Eli's place,
Yeah.
and we rehearsed and like composed all day, and took a lot of breaks and played with Dewey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dewey.
Mili knew his dog Dewey. You can follow him on Deweyland at Deweyland.
Yes.
Yeah,
Deweyland on Instagram.
Yeah.
Please follow.
he's a sweet boy.
Yes, he's my baby.
Yeah, but that was really fun. That residency was like the first time we had spent that much time, like really working on music, like all day kind of thing. Like taking those breaks, but like we really kind of like had a slow process. We even tried like some exercise and stuff to just like get us to improvise in different ways and like explore a bit.
Yeah, and some of the stuff we came up with actually did end up being songs that we recorded for the second album and songs that we play live now too.
Yeah.
Like
Firefly.
Firefly Phrenology or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah.
That one
Hmm.
we worked a lot on at that little residency.
Oh yeah, I remember that one from the other night. That Phrenology?
Phrenology.
Firefly Phrenology.
Firefly Phrenology, and phrenology is the study of lighthouses.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like PHAR-ology.
That's a great word. That's a fantastic word.
Mhm.
Yeah, like we named that song the other day, and it was just like on the ferry to the Sunshine Coast. We're just like thinking about names that we thought were cool that related to the song. We're like Lighthouse, Phrenology, Firefly, and then and that's how we eventually got to Firefly. But we haven't named that song for so long. For a long time, it was like Manteca Barbecue,
Yeah.
Manteca Barbecue, yeah, that was the temporary name.
Yeah.
which I still like.
Wait, what barbecue? Sorry.
Manteca Barbecue.
Manteca.
Oh yeah.
Because there's like a line that sounds like the tune Manteca, and then the
Mm.
barbecue is because Alley Barbecue.
Yeah, Allison's nickname is Alley Barbecue.
Oh.
Oh,
Which did we
no.
come up with that?
Yeah, because Kansas City.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
whenever Alley plays anything
Meats.
remotely bluesy or tasty, we're like Alley Barbecue.
Do you barbecue?
I do not barbecue. I grill, but I
Oh,
love
sorry.
barbecue sauce.
Oh,
if that's
yeah.
what you mean.
What's your favorite sauce?
I mean, from Kansas City, my favorite barbecue sauce is probably like, Gates is good. Q39's is good. Joe's is really good. I used to eat Hayward's a lot when I was a kid.
What
but,
happened?
I just my tastes evolved, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
there's a
makes
lot
sense.
of really good spots, and every time I talk about going to Kansas City, or I go to Kansas City, I bring back a couple bottles of sauce, and
Oh man.
it's the best.
And you
I
grill-
make the
you
best
grill up.
vegan tempeh barbecue
Oh,
sandwiches
yeah.
you've ever had.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, that's the other thing that changed is that I don't eat meat now.
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like-
I'm sure. Well, a place like Kansas City probably also has like the best like vegan barbecue like in the world.
I have not seen a vegan
as a
barbecue.
reaction.
I mean,
Really?
there's just, I feel like the culture of like vegetarian and veganism is coming in from the coasts, and
okay.
Kansas City's like
Right in the
10
middle.
or 15 years behind
Right.
because
Okay.
of that. So
But once it gets there.
once it
It'll
gets
be the
there,
best.
Yeah, it'll be the
It'll be
absolute
so
best.
good.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
Kansas City has ridiculous food. No
Yeah.
shade, KC. I love you. It's just, you know, it's a timeline thing.
Yeah. Is that Kansas City, Kansas? Kansas City, Missouri.
I grew up in Kansas.
Okay.
But we would visit this. I was like, 10, 15 minutes outside the city.
Yeah.
And yeah, would spend a lot of time in Missouri. Like it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
It is the same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's just Missouri's the better part of
It's the
Kansas
city.
City.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like where the downtown is,
Wow.
you know? But
No
it's
shade.
all the
No
same.
shade, KC. To all of our KC listeners.
But it's like, it's where like the jazz clubs are too, is
Oh, yeah.
on the Missouri side and
Of
everything.
course,
So, yeah.
That's cool. So you're, I guess, you're the only American in the band, correct?
Yeah.
Mm.
Claire's, you're
Canadian,
from
Ottawa.
You're from Ottawa.
born,
Okay, yeah.
Yep, our nation's capital.
Nice.
Yeah, nothing to say about that.
Nothing to say. Ain't nothing to say about that. We'll
I
just
feel
leave
like-
her there.
Ottawa's our like second home because we keep going to like play
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
and play at Claire's parents' house.
Yeah, I
And
hear
it's
about
like a
you
few
guys
hours
playing
away.
in Ottawa a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty easy to get out there.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm just not used to that in Vancouver. We just have, like, I guess we have Victoria. Victoria's
Mhm.
our
Yeah,
home.
but that's even harder to get to. Like,
Yeah.
you can do a day trip to Ottawa easy. You know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And there's like the ferry. There's no cost like the ferry. It's just the gas,
Mhm.
That's sweet. And so, well, okay, I actually do want to ask about collective composition because I feel like it's becoming more and more used, at least from in my experience. Like people are getting into this kind of thing more often now, and I'm wondering if you have like you mentioned exercises, but like, have you settled on any sort of particular method for being able to do compositions? Do you guys have a piano when you're composing, or are you just composing on your instruments?
Well, not when we're playing together. Well, like sometimes we'll bring in like a cell or a small idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's cool about how we do it is we change the process up every time. You know, like
Mm.
there's some processes that yield a lot of results. Maybe we get more than one idea from, but yeah, I think like anything, if you do the same thing over and over again, it's
Mm-hmm.
you kind of lose a little bit of like momentum or inspiration, and it's good to just like kind of pull something out from left field.
Yeah.
But we could talk about like the specific.
Some of the things we've done. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of it just involves improvising together, but maybe putting some constraints on that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
having everyone in the band improvises a 1-bar cell, and then we repeat it 3 more times, and then you pick a new cell, and that creates like this kind of repetition that happens. Everyone's playing the same thing 4 times, and then a new thing 4 times, then a new thing 4 times, and then by doing that, you kind of start to gel and you go together, and then you come apart, and then we always record everything that we do.
I was going to ask that too. Yeah, so you always have a recorder going.
Mm-hmm.
That's smart.
So that's that process was what made Firefly Phreology.
Yeah, and sometimes, and I guess like usually those ideas will sort of create one little section, one little idea, and then we'll, flesh that out. But it's interesting to me like how we develop like larger pieces from that usually, because like a piece like Firefly or Murmuration is another one. They're kind of like pretty through composed, and they have like a lot of like different parts to them. And what's cool is to like not try to do this sort of the classic like this is the head, then we do our solos.
Yeah,
head out is a similar thing. Like it's fun to like find different ways of making us improvise together.
Yeah. So
like Firefly Phreology has like this section that's in 7/8, but then sort of speeds up into like fast 4/4 swing.
Yeah.
Then Ali Barbecue takes it away.
Yeah.
And it's super fun because it's like time no changes kind of, and like it feels like we really like to do that sort of back and forth between really free playing and playing sort of I guess quote unquote inside or more conventional changes kind of thing.
Yeah, and I noticed that about your tunes watching you guys at All City the other day. Is that I feel like you find a really good way to be able to like feature everybody. Like everybody ends up like getting featured in all your tunes like at some point. And so like the focus is always changing. And I find that when the focus changes, the entire like feeling of what's happening changes too. As opposed to like dropping somebody into a solo section of a tune or something. It's like when that person is being featured, the entire vibe of whatever is happening morphs around them, which I thought was really cool because it also it like for me at least, maybe I'm like a caveman, but I found myself kind of feeling some kind of not in a bad way, but a little bit disoriented a bit where I'm like, wait, what was happening at the beginning of this? This is the same thing as what was happening earlier, or this is the same performance altogether, but like the feeling is so different. And so I feel like there's so much more space for things to kind of like stretch and become something totally different with your particular instrumentation, which I think is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of freedom there, but I think there's also a danger especially in the collective composition stuff where we kind of want to do like have all of our cool ideas out in every piece, and that's like that's definitely a struggle for me as a composer. And I don't know, I notice that we sometimes want to do that when we're composing together or like arranging stuff together.
We usually end up paring stuff down from all of our original ideals.
Yeah, usually that's how that works.
Yeah, and Firefly Phreology was one that was like, it really works now, and it feels like a concise thing. But when we were writing it, we had so many different sections, and we were like, let's just take out at least half of these sections, because it was just like so all over the place.
Yeah. Almost like 2 different songs.
Yeah. Which is, I think, can be a good sign when you're writing. You have all these ideas. Sometimes, like when I write, like I tend to do that, and I'm like, there's a sort of a period where things are like opening up and growing and evolving to different things, and there's so much potential. Every song has so much potential when you're writing it, but you have to also do the next sort of phase where you're like really kind of like taking the piece towards its like natural end or natural like point where it becomes what it is. And you can always use the stuff that you throw out for something else, or take ideas from that going forward. But yeah, it's tough to do that as a band because you have to like, there's so much decision making you have to do, and you have to be like good at communicating and listening and not shutting out like anyone's individual voice while you're doing that.
Totally, yeah. And something that we've done in the composition process to kind of help with that is like one of us will be like, okay, I'm going to take the lead on fine tuning or polishing this tune because I'm really drawn to it. And like, Eli or Claire or Mili, if you could do some work on Firefly Phrenology, like that section needs to have like a better transition or whatever. And we kind of like, with a lot of the work, both musical and non-musical, we like we divide pretty equally and like try and give each other work that we're good at, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but we do a good job of divvying up the compositional arrangement work when it's not collective as well.
Because there's certain things in composition and arranging that do lend themselves to like individual work so much more, and I don't think like we're not so like purist about it that we want to everything to be done with all of us in the same room. Like I think if we're like, okay, this section needs some chord changes that like end up in this place, maybe someone can just do that on their own.
I think maybe to add on that, maybe just being like in a band with two couples maybe is easier in a way to communicate, like in terms of like playing and writing. Right. Because I feel like we naturally have better connection with, with the
well, you don't
partner.
have to feel alone.
Yeah, like, but also at the same time, you kind of like know like what to play and how to play naturally. So I think, there's a definitely natural flow of a relationship. I think that just like maybe creates more room for us to focus on composing and like arranging together. Yeah. That's just,
because I guess, like you probably have, I mean, I know you and Eli have been playing together for a long time. And so you probably have a way of being able to work things out together.
So true. So then, I don't have to talk to Eli every time about how to play a certain song. We'll just know when we start playing, oh, okay, this is how kind of we feel. And then,
Yeah, and it's like being able to communicate when you do have like, because there's certain things that like, that you don't have to like talk about, it just happen. And that's really important. But also like when you do want to make a suggestion, how do you make that suggestion? Like sometimes... over the years, it's like I've learned how to communicate better with people in general when we're playing through how I communicate with Mili, both musically and non-musically, because like that's a whole point of like relationships with people, I think, is like, learning, because sometimes, communicating your feelings and what you think about the music is super important. But if you say it in a way that's going to make the other person feel like you're being overbearing, or they feel like they're, they're not being heard, then that's
intention
that creates
only
conflict.
goes so far. Like you have to be able to present what you're asking in a way that's like understandable, and like, because we're talking about like composition and art and expression and everything, so everything's so personal. And also like a big thing with collective composition is like your idea, even if when it comes to you it feels like the best idea or really important, you can't hold the group hostage to just get that idea across. Like sometimes that's just not going to be the way the group goes, and like how you deal with that is important, because because there's always that period where things are, you're not sure what's going to happen, and to kind of be able to let that go, but also I think give that idea the respect that it deserves. I think it's like a really important process to go through without sort of hurting the personal relationships, because it is like I find with this band much more personal in terms of how we treat each other than say a lot of other groups where we don't spend as much sort of creative time together.
And also like leisure time together, like we're buds.
Totally.
Buds, right?
You guys, three of you are sitting on one couch. So And I don't think it's a 3-person couch
Getting
either.
real
You guys are
close.
making it work. So, but that's not your problem. That's my apartment. we do what we can. This is Vancouver. Do you find that it's changed the way that you deal with other musicians? Like in other jobs, like has your communication skills changed because of how much you've had to communicate in this band?
I'm sure to a degree, but one thing, like, we've been in like rock bands like since I was in high school, and I find that's like not a jazz thing as much as in rock, where you do this kind of collective writing.
Yeah,
and you write things from scratch, and things are slower, and you jam things out.
Yeah,
and you don't come in with like a full like chart with everything sort of figured out. You're like, let's try this groove, or like, I'm working on this riff, and then something comes out of it. So it's not like a new thing, but yeah, I mean, it's also, I feel like it's kind of relatively recent that we started collective writing. So like, I think we're still kind of figuring it out, and I haven't had. I mean, you had Plastic Waste.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you've been in that for a while. I don't know if like.
Yeah, but also with that band, we just started collectively writing like in the last year. So I've just been kind of like diving into it with a couple of groups and learning a lot from the process. And I think, I mean, it's super recent, but one thing I noticed is that I think it's making me more decisive about composition choices in general, because if you're there with like 3 or 4 other people in the room and you're trying to compose something, like, you can't be kind of wishy-washy about things. You kind of have to, like, you're polite and not too critical of people's ideas, but also just be able to, it's good to be able to quickly know what you like and don't like.
Yeah.
So it's actually helping me to be more efficient in that way, I think.
Right, because I think there's a balance where I guess you pick your battles, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And maybe you can double check yourself, where it's like, oh, do I just have a tendency to want things to be this way? Mm-hmm. Or do I firmly believe that it should be this way? Right? Like, maybe I'll wait a little bit before.
And that's actually kind of exciting, because sometimes someone else will have a very strong opinion that's the opposite of yours, and then you're like, "Whoa, that's cool!" Like, I like, maybe this is a tendency that I have in my writing, but like, this person that I really trust their taste, and I like the music that they write. Yeah, they believe the opposite thing, so this could be like an interesting thing to explore.
Yeah, that was a really cool thing, because like, I remember like once in the first residency we like had this one section of a song, and then we were like, what should happen next? Why don't we all go into like different rooms and like come up with an idea for what should happen next? And like, I can't remember what my idea was. I remember like coming back, and like Ali's idea was like so much different than I even thought of, like, what the next section could be. Because for me, I was sort of thinking more in terms of like the melody and what could happen with the changes, and like Ali was like there's a like, we all drop out and there's like a drum groove, and then we go bah, 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 and it's like it was like so dynamic, and it was like, and right away we were like, okay, let's go with that. And that like felt like that was like really a really cool way of like thinking about what the next section of music could be.
I mean, that's because that's it's less conventional, and so it'll be more interesting. Mm-hmm. And I guess the idea is more strong.
Yeah, I think like that's kind of speaking to one of the best things about this collective composition process, which is that when we're all kind of like given the chance to be like, okay, what is the next section going to sound like? Let's go our separate ways, figure it out. It's like, if I don't feel very confident in what I bring, I know that, there's 3 other people that are going to bring something really cool. Yeah. And we can kind of like, we're really just picking the best of all of our ideas, Yeah. And that feels really good too. And it's usually... It's not often that leads to conflict. Like, usually we're like, oh yeah, that's like the clear thing that we should do. That's the choice that feels like the inevitable way to progress this piece or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really nice.
Or the most surprising.
Or the most
thing, you know?
surprising,
It's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
whatever we're drawn to, which is like
yeah, or what speaks to the piece itself, if there's like a
Mhm.
theme behind the piece or
Mhm.
whatever. Yeah, it's nice.
Mhm.
But I also think it's great that we could be open about things to each other, because not every band is open to try
yeah.
different things. So
Yeah.
I think it's great. Everyone has different ideas, and try and let's see how it goes. And you know, some things work out. It's great. Some things don't work out, but then we still, you know, we could save it for later, and
Yeah.
it like creates different ideas for later, which I think it's a beautiful like a process of
Yeah.
Mhm.
composition. So
Yeah, and I think, and there's definitely nothing wrong with there being one person in charge too, because we've all been in that kind of situation where you just have to have somebody who knows exactly what they want, and you just follow that, and then do your best at doing that specific thing that you've been hired to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like sometimes in a collective composition, someone's going to take the lead,
Yeah.
and it's about how you react to that, how you allow that to happen when that should happen, especially when
Yeah.
things are indecisive. Because if Claire knows what she's doing and I'm a little bit lost, I feel so so comfortable just going with that, and that feels
Yeah.
super natural. But if you're
Cool.
trying to be too egalitarian about everything, it can kind of stagnate at a certain point.
Right, yeah, because then things will feel, it'll be the same thing, or like things will maybe feel too safe.
Yeah.
And things and you won't necessarily go for the most interesting idea if you're focusing more on everybody equally inputting, although that probably isn't always the case, but I guess that's a danger. But is there because when I think of the opposite situation where I have a gig coming up, it's like a tribute gig, and so we're only doing music by this one artist, right? And so that's sort of the North Star, is to just play music according to that artist's aesthetic and everything. And so is there something you would say is maybe like a aesthetic North Star for the band? Is there something that you're kind of usually going towards?
I mean, what's cool about the band is I think we have a lot of overlapping tastes, but also like a diverse set of things that we're into, but things that we're we've been influenced by in the past. So it is it's hard to pinpoint what that one thing would be like.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Claire.
Obviously in the first year or so, we were just finding a sound.
Yeah.
And one of our inspirations was the band Endangered Blood, because it has basically the same instrumentation as us.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was kind of one of the starting points, was listening to that and how they used their instrumentation and orchestrated things and switched up, because it's a specific kind of sound to have a jazz quartet without any guitar or piano. But then I think since then we've kind of strayed away, because it's our own personal sound that is the combination of each of our four personalities has become clearer. It's not it's no longer we're aiming for something specific that has existed outside of ourselves, but it's we're trying to access something that we've felt in a live setting or in the recording studio that feels unique to us.
Yeah, and also not pigeonhole ourselves, because I feel naturally we'll sort of go in a direction.
Yeah.
And then get to a point where it's okay, what are we missing right now in terms of, what kind of form to improvise over, or what kind of feel that we're kind of going through. I think for a while, a lot of the tempos that we were playing were all kind of straying to the same tempo. So, yeah.
I am curious, how's the tour been this time around?
Been good
since last week.
It's been solid. The shows we played as Bellbird have felt really nice.
Yeah.
Although the first one we played was at
Jazz at the Bolt.
Jazz at the Bolt, yeah. And we hadn't really rehearsed.
Vancouver Jazz Con, I like to call it.
Jazz Con.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
It is.
It felt like that, yeah.
Totally. We hadn't rehearsed in a couple of months.
Yeah.
Because we were all kind of coming from different places. Like,
Right.
Mili was in Korea, I was in Europe for a month, and then we kind of convened in Vancouver and just winged it for that gig. But it was good, I thought.
Yeah, it went pretty good.
Energetically,
Considering.
we were
Yeah.
together.
I mean,
There were
there's no
some
like train
mistakes,
wrecks.
but-
Yeah,
yeah.
mistakes, but I feel like mostly like inaudible to someone who didn't really know the music.
Mm.
You know, just like little
Yeah, perfect.
details. And then we got to rehearse at Kerry Campbell and Thomas Holder have this studio in East Van.
Yeah.
It's like a converted basement.
Yes.
That sounds really good now. They've really treated it well. And
Awesome.
we got to do like rehearsal / recording video.
Cool.
So we might put something out eventually from that, but it was just a nice way for us
Nice.
to like shed the stuff we hadn't played for a while.
Yeah, reconnect a bit. It was good.
That's good.
Um,
How many Bellbird shows have there been? There was Jazz of the Bolt, and then you went to Gabriola.
Roberts Creek.
Roberts Creek.
Oh, Roberts Creek.
And then we played at the boxing gym on Saturday. So there's been
Yeah.
3.
3.
Yeah.
And then, are you planning on doing some Bellbird content at Capilano University, or are you just gonna
Yeah, I'm sure we'll play a tune at
Yeah.
least, a tune or two.
Yeah, probably do some more like some of our like collective composition stuff. It's kind of the topic we're probably gonna focus on. And then also we're playing at Herman's in Victoria.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's the last gig of the tour.
you're doing Herman's Wednesday. Oh, that's Tuesday. Okay, yeah. Sorry, my bad.
I already did double book ourselves. Like
Oh, no.
I booked a lot of stuff this tour, and I double booked the Saturday thing because we did this workshop yesterday for tuning in this workshop series, and for some reason I was totally sure it was in the afternoon, and then like Carrie called me and was just like, "Hey, like the workshop's supposed to be at 7. It says you're playing at All City Athletics at the same time," and I was like, "No."
Oh,
But they got to change it to Sunday, which was when we were free anyway.
Mhm.
So, but to my knowledge, that was the only double booking that I did.
Eli, you did such a great job.
You nailed it, bud.
It was a great tour.
yeah.
Yeah, it like Tim Reiner just asked us like 6 months ago, so I
Yeah.
was at first a bit skeptical of how it could throw it together, because a lot of places on the islands they book like a year in advance, and
Yep.
booking a tour in general can be a lot of work and tough and never a sure thing. So yeah, it's the fun part is actually just doing it and getting to like play and like travel and like hang out with people. That's when you feel lucky to be doing what you're doing. All the admin. The thing, I didn't know that like just being a professional musician just means doing homework for the rest of your life.
Oh,
Just,
yeah.
like,
Oh
on your
yeah.
computer.
Yeah. Yeah. Emails.
Yeah.
You're an email guy now, and then
Yeah.
sometimes you play bass.
Yeah, but we've like kind of taken turns, being the admin person or the project leader, I guess.
That's good.
For
That's
different
nice
tours.
to be able to have that in a band. Actually, I think that's a good thing for sustainability for a band, because
it's hard. It's hard to book things. It's hard to make anything happen.
Yeah.
So like if you're leading your own band and you're doing all of that work yourself, the booking, the grant writing, the social media, the composition, like organizing rehearsals, it's a huge amount of work and you have limited time. But like with 4 of us all doing that work, we're able to kind of do like, a superhuman amount almost compared to what I could have done by myself, for example.
Yeah.
So it's very helpful, and it's become pretty efficient, I think, the way we do it.
Yeah, we're getting good at streamlining. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and like, the first time you ever read a grant, for like especially when a project starts, like it feels like a lot of work, and when you finish it, whether or not you got the grant, it's just like, man, I don't know. I don't know how easy it's going to do the next one, because that took like a few months to get through.
Yeah.
But as we've kind of picked up more momentum, it's like, we're able to kind of throw these applications together, and we're kind of definitely don't get all the grants that we apply for. We don't get all the gigs that we aim to do, but like it feels like less work than it used to be, and it feels like we're kind of getting good as a band and as like a
unit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty gratifying, because it's, it gets harder to like make stuff happen, and as one person it can be like a full-time job, and that's it's nice to be able to have people kind of supporting you when you're doing these things.
Yeah, it totally is. And was last summer 2024, was that the first tour when you guys did the jazz festivals?
The biggest one, not the first one though.
Okay.
Yeah, that was definitely the most, the longest. Like we were gone for maybe like a total of 3 weeks, I think. Like a week and a half, and
we
then
had a few
break
days
and
left
then-
in Montreal, kind of in the middle. We did
Yeah.
the Montreal Jazz Fest, but then we did the East Coast tour after the West Coast.
Yeah, but I think our first tour was when we did the album release of our first album in August 2023. Yeah, and that wasn't. I think it was like 5 shows, just around Ontario and Quebec,
Mm-hmm.
and that felt like a good, like, manageable first tour for us. You know, figuring out who our contacts were in those cities and
Yeah.
who we could borrow bases from and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. But that was I think this is our first official West Coast tour, right? The one we're on now?
Yeah. I mean, we came through for the Jazz Fest and we played
Mhm.
Victoria and Vancouver, but this is the first time it's like,
We're hanging out here.
yeah. And we're planning another one for January 2025. We're going to
Nice.
do 26.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
January 2025.
Time
Yeah,
traveling.
it's over.
Long gone.
We're living in the past, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, we're going to go to like Alberta as well, and
Cool.
you know, we're kind of in the planning stage for that.
Yeah.
So I think our goal as a band is to come here more often because it's like a whole other part of the country. There's like really cool people and places to play, and
Yeah.
it's just, I mean, you know, it's hard to like get stuff together, but to like kind of keep it going where we can like visit enough so that our fan base and people we know still
Yeah.
kind of have a connection to us that isn't just online.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty important.
It's super important. Yeah. I think that's really how you form those, I guess, like lifelong fans and supporters and stuff, is like coming to them, letting them experience. Because like the Bellbird thing must be experienced live, in my experience, or in my opinion.
Yeah, it feels different. The music
Yeah.
feels different live for us.
Yeah, and then obviously like with the improvisation aspect of the band, like obviously it's going to be different every time, and your tunes obviously are going to change with time. Like, so you just recorded a bunch of stuff recently, and then by the time you release the album later this year, do you think a lot of those tunes will have changed?
For sure. I think some of them will have changed. And there were a couple tunes that we recorded that we didn't end up putting on the record. After all,
Yeah.
we recorded 12 tunes.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty intense couple days, but
That's long for a jazz record.
yeah,
That's good.
totally.
Yeah.
But we cut 4 of them, so we're only
Wow.
including 8.
Yeah. But the 4 that we cut, I mean, I think that those are ones that could live on like an EP or whatever, but definitely will make, like, even with the tunes from our first
No,
record.
just to include them in 10 years on the deluxe edition.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even with some of the songs on our first album, we've rearranged them for our own pleasure and delight
Yeah.
for these tours later, so that we don't end up playing the same
Yeah.
thing over and over again.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
yeah.
mannequin that we play live is really different from the mannequin that's on the record.
Right.
And I think because we're always trying to keep things fresh for us,
Yeah.
I think that's probably palpable in the audience. And I think that's why it feels so good for us to do live shows.
And it'll for sure happen with this repertoire as well. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we maybe it's just because we have short attention spans, but like it's it feels like things can get kind of stale if you're playing the
Yeah.
same tune
Of
over and
course,
over again
yeah.
with the same solos, the same order of events, you
Yeah.
know? So it's
Especially, when you're playing that frequently, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
you're just naturally going to want to change things. You're
Mhm.
going to become curious.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
It's
to
like-
find, it's kind of a fun process to find the potential in a tune that you're bored of.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah,
rediscover
yeah.
it
For
and
sure.
by like changing the groove or changing it from a major to a minor key or something
Mhm.
or like
Playing it in a polyrhythm canon. Like,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, like, to go back to the collective composition, like, what kind of started that was the rearrangement of our older songs, because
Mm.
that was a very collective process, and that was, like, a really kind of, I feel like that was, like, a really important moment for the band, because like we really opened up, you know, how we thought of, you know, some of the tunes, like, you know, like what if like the melody was played on a totally different instruments?
Yeah.
What if the groove was in a different time feel? You know, there's so many things you can think about that, you know, may or may not work or may not, you know, lead to something new. But when it does kind of create this totally new vibe, you can really get to know more about the actual composition, because they were all great compositions that the people in the band had written, but like we had played them so much to the point that we felt like they were kind of old or like not kind of bearing new fruit for us. But playing them in new ways was just like oh, like, you know, this, I feel the band is like sounding different now. There's like something new coming out of it.
But yeah, I like that idea of like getting to know the composition better, because I guess like, you know, the sign of a good composition is that like you could change the instrumentation and maybe the meter or whatever, and the sort of like core of the composition, like the melody and everything and how it interacts with the harmony, will sort of come through either way, which I think can be a challenge sometimes, especially when you're working with, you know, a very set instrumentation, right? Where you're thinking about the instrumentation when you're writing, and then it I don't know about you guys, but if I'm thinking too hard about the instrumentation when I'm writing something, I feel like the composition will maybe suffer because it's relying on the instrumentation. Your mic's all the way down there.
Yes, I agree.
Catching your foot movement.
Ali agreed with me, if you heard that or not. But yeah, like do you guys find that like you know when you've kind of like hit on a winner?
I mean, it does, like, yeah. Like, it does feel like we kind of agree when something feels like it's arrived at like a, you know, at least close to what it's going to be. Like,
We get very excited about it when something sounds like, it's kind of, there's a palpable excitement in the room, you know.
Totally, yeah. Also, like, sometimes before a gig we'll be like, what if we do, you know, what if Claire takes the solo section there instead of Ali, or like it can be like a really small change like that, and or it'd be like, what if Mili drops out and it's just bass and sax at the beginning of that solo section or whatever. And I mean, I feel like our band is such a safe space for us to try stuff in like a non-judgmental way.
Yeah.
And like really just give the idea its best chance and explore it and like invite some newness to the piece, to the performance in that way, and not worry about like it having to be like the final answer. Like, for instance, we tried a couple things on the gig at the All City Athletics show that we played a couple nights ago, and we're probably going to change some of the stuff that we did for the show at Herman's, you know.
Cool.
It's kind of a nice little evolving thing a lot of the time.
When do you decide on those changes?
Usually right before the show.
Okay. Yeah. Just like in the green room or whatever.
Yeah, we'll be like, or when we're creating the set list, we'll kind of like be thinking through all the pieces and what we want to play for the night, and then thinking about what possibilities for changes, or, you know, arrangement wise or otherwise, could bring some new life to the pieces. Yeah.
Which I think it's usually a frightening thing for me to have a last minute change, just because my brain capacity is lower than everyone else.
That is not true. Yeah, Mili, just shut up and play the drums.
Yeah.
No, dude.
But play, no play. You know, it's just
time change.
Time change. That's me. But
on or off?
Well, I just don't like last minute change. But
That's always how we do it.
but I mean, Bellbird music is also really challenging, honestly.
Yeah,
like
really
for
hard.
me, like it took me a long time to memorize the whole thing, and still like I am not 100% sure where I should come in. But then because I know Eli knows me, so then we'll just, you know, have a eye contact, and it's very clear. So he helps me a lot. But anyways, I hate last minute change. But like this band, because it's like so also trust based. We rehearse a lot, but also like I know if I drop out something like without talking about it, someone else will do something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I have less pressure
That's
of
so true.
Yeah, yeah, no,
messing
I
it
think-
up.
I
Totally.
think I really do understand what you're saying though, because like in the band you hold a lot of power.
I mean, yeah, drums could
Yeah.
do that, but I don't know. It's like so funny. I'm not type of person who likes to hold the power, but then
Right.
like just drums do that. So I am
Yeah.
usually frightened.
It's a lot of pressure too.
Usually
Like it's
frightened.
power,
Yeah,
but it's
so
also
much,
pressure.
yeah, so much pressure and frightening.
It doesn't come off that way, and I think I know what you mean. Like there's obviously going to be like the sense of the unknown, right? So
Yeah, and also like, yeah, I think especially when music's kind of complicated, last minute changes. I think we're at a point in the band where like we make last minute changes, we have more confidence that they will work, or even if they don't, we'll make something happen out of it, and we're kind of down. And I think that pressure is like a two-sided sword, because like it can be like scary and stressful and too much sometimes, and we don't want to overdo it, but sometimes that pressure really makes you play stronger. It makes you play in a way where you're a little more on the edge. You improvise like more in the moment because you're terrified.
The fear helps, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not like we're terrified when we're playing all the time though. We're just like, our focus is just like dialed in. You know, I think it's more of a matter of just like, it makes us a bit more present as well, because it's like, oh yes, there was this new thing and we haven't done it before, so let's turn on our brains. But yeah, also like Mili, I similarly cannot remember verbal instructions. And so many of our gigs I'm looking to Claire with eyes of desperation, like, please, what is going on after this break? And I understand it's you're not alone, bud.
And I think one thing that's been really cool with this band is one thing I think about a lot is like a big part of like arranging and writing is just getting something to the point where it works. And if something works, that's like the first step of making music. Like, oh yeah, like this something is happening. This is clear enough, but like to the point where it's like it's really the aesthetic you're going for, or really like effective and evocative of something that you want, or just more powerful. That's sort of something beyond that. And so I'm pretty confident whenever we do something like that, it's going to work and it's going to be fine, and we're going to work with it. And I think in a conscious, setting, that's sometimes just good enough. But like, by the time we like want to put something on a record, or we feel like the composition is complete, like I feel like we have sort of an idea of like the standard as a band of like we, at least the tunes that end up making the cut, they're much more clear in terms of how powerful they are, how what the vibe is, and what the song sort of feels as a whole.
Yeah.
And I think now we're at a place where at least we feel like the compositions are doing that, and like it's not just that they work and they're like they're not boring or whatever, or they're not unclear. It's like they really kind of mean something to us.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean like another thing just to like keep in mind though, like I do want to drive home, Mili, that like you are like a gold spinning machine on the drums. Like
Truth.
What does that mean? Gold
just like
spinning?
everything you play sounds so awesome. So it's like so when you like if you feel like you're not totally sure what's going to happen next, I feel like the reason why this band works is because you actually work well under pressure.
I mean, yes. I mean, are we going to a therapy session here?
I just want to say this is just how I feel right now.
But I think you're onto something. Like
Yeah.
I think like not to like put you on the spot too much, really, but like
It's fine.
But like the way that you are as a player is so in the moment, and so which means that you're like listening and you're reacting and adjusting all the time in a really like instinctive way that I don't, I also don't perceive the fear necessarily so much as just like the being in the moment, and I think that that's essential for this band.
Yeah, I mean, fear definitely transfer as focus. Transfer is it?
Mhm.
Yeah. But definitely have undertone of fear, and I also want to sound good. I also want us to sound good. I think it's a healthy fear. I think. I have so much fun.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that at our Roberts Creek gig a couple nights ago, this older dude walked up to Mili after our second set and told Mili that she was the best drummer he had ever heard.
Whoa.
So yeah, that
He's
was
probably
pretty cool.
right.
Yeah.
in
He
my
was probably
opinion.
right.
Yeah.
He'd definitely seen some shit. Yeah.
He also like messaged our Instagram saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
super
He
fan.
really-
I
just
feel
in
like-
case, you
Yeah.
guys forget.
Yeah.
It seemed like
I want to have it in
possibly
writing.
he may have just created his Instagram profile just to send us
Whoa.
that message because he had like no profile picture, posts, or
All right, let me take
followers.
some pictures of my coffee and my dog. That's. I mean, yeah. I agree. I think. Yeah. Like, well, just you and Mili, you and Eli also just like have such a cool synergy that you create together. Like in my experience of playing like trio with you guys, like back in the day, like Libra Room, whatever, and we like recorded that album, and like I remember there being like these moments of like, I call it like free fall, where it's like, oh, like what's happening, and then you catch it somehow, right? And like you're forced, to focus and to use your ears and listen and make something work, like answer a question, right? Like there's sort of like, you get to this point where there's a big question mark in the middle of the room, and then you work together to answer it like in that moment. And I think that's like a really, really cool, and it's like, it's kind of like a precious thing to be able to see too.
Yeah, one thing that we worked on like during the pandemic, we played a lot of duo together. And at that point, we already had played a lot together, but we only had each other to kind of like, I don't know, work on music with. We sort of like were talking about how we both loved playing free.
You guys did that Patreon thing.
Yeah, Patreon. It's still there if anyone wants to
Cool.
subscribe.
What's it called?
Jam
Jam with Mili and Eli?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still do it. You can still download the tracks, play along with them. I know a few people who still do it, but we haven't.
I tried to
added
do it on
anything.
Twitch a couple times.
Yeah, no, that was fun. I felt like that
Yeah.
was the closest to like having an actual like jam session, which doesn't appeal to me at all anymore because we're not there anymore. But it was a fun thing. But like one thing we talked about was like we really love playing free, and we really love, we were playing a lot of standards obviously and like grooves, and it really felt like we were just playing so differently in those two different contexts, and we were trying to find ways of just like playing in time and playing standards or grooves or what have you, but still have that feeling of like anything can happen.
Yeah.
And like there is like a freeness to things.
Yeah.
And I think we're both kind of motivated by that, like, not playing it too safe, I guess. I don't know. Like it's hard to articulate because it is more of a feeling, but like I don't necessarily want it to be like, now I'm flicking a switch and now I'm in free mode and now I'm in, inside mode. Like there is a big overlap because I think that makes the music feel a certain way, and we want that kind of aliveness in the music to be present, especially in a band like Bellbird, where even when we're playing in time, it feels as exciting as when we're playing free.
Yeah, and there's like those moments are also where like the composition can evolve, turn into something else, right? Not necessarily mistakes, but just openness to anything happening. Which I think is a very cool thing, and that's why I say like seeing Bellbird live is like such an important thing, because, or seeing any music live, but just because you guys are here, is I'm sucking up to you just because you're here, so as well. Is that like you might be able to witness like one of those moments where it's just like, oh, this song is never going to be the same again, right? And unwittingly, maybe even to you, but it's like, yeah, it's a sight to behold. And that guy was probably, that's what I'm saying. That guy was probably right.
Yeah.
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 Thanks, David.
That's his name.
That's his name.
That's the fellow from Roberts Creek.
Yes.
Okay, let me get another one of these questions from the Backstreet Boys. Okay, were you popular at school?
Did you just go down the line? Yes,
Yeah.
No.
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 Also no.
Okay.
No.
And
Nice.
we found each other.
Wow.
Were you, Chris?
I don't know
Probably.
if I
Oh
was
my
like
God, that sounds like
I
a
was
yes.
I was the guitar guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Cool
I was,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I was the band kid.
I was a band kid for sure. I was
Yeah.
popular among the woodwinds.
Yeah. I was just
Wink,
yeah,
wink.
no, like I was just talking to a friend who I went to high school with the other day, and he was on the basketball team and I was not on the basketball team, and I mentioned the band teacher's name. He was the band teacher the entire time that we were at high school, and he's still the band teacher there. And he said, "Who?" And I said, like, Mr. Weisinger, the band teacher at our high school. And he's like, I have no idea who that is. And I'm like, that's like where I was all the time when you were playing basketball. And yeah, like, so I was probably popular among the musicians, and that's not saying much. Yeah. Okay, next question.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Does someone make you wear stuff with Backstreet Boys logos on all the time?
Well, we do have a lot of Bellbird merch.
You do? Yeah, Ellie's wearing Bellbird merch, actually.
Yeah, I'm wearing our green Bellbird shirt right now.
Yeah, I've never seen the green one.
Yeah, I like
Is
the
that
green
rare?
a lot. It's a little rare, but I got first pick, obviously, because,
Of course. Yeah.
we got it straight off the screen printers.
Do you have any
Yeah.
new designs coming out?
Well, these are pretty new. Like,
Yeah, those were new in the summer, right?
We have one
Yeah.
that we've been dreaming of, though, that has a pigeon and a disco ball.
yeah,
in
because-
reference to our song Pigeons in Disco.
That's good.
Yeah, so that'll come someday.
Yeah, I think we have a couple ideas, like the pigeon with the disco ball, and then for maybe the next one, we were thinking like firefly phorology. There's a lot of images that could be
Yeah.
generated from that phrase, that
Totally.
song name. So
Mhm.
yeah, but
Firefly in like being the bulb of a lighthouse.
yeah, there's that,
Ooh.
or
Yeah.
like a firefly,
like
studying lighthouses, like learning how to
So
be a
cute.
beacon,
Oh, yeah.
which is
It's
really
like,
cute.
like
That's
Firefly
cute.
with like a little book, and then you see like a thought bubble with like a lighthouse.
Or yeah, Willem Dafoe's face
Yeah.
on a firefly
Oh my
body.
God. That's niche.
Yeah. I think your fans would get it.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
they're-
yeah.
they're cool.
Weirdos.
That'd be great.
We should shout out the artist who made our logo.
Oriane.
Oh yeah.
Forêt. Yeah,
Oriane
she's
Forêt.
a friend in Montreal who I rock climb with. And
Oh,
I found
nice.
out that she was a graphic designer, and then she was like super stoked to work on our merch stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
she did an amazing job.
She
yeah,
did.
we
Nailed it.
loved all her logos.
Yeah.
Like, we really chose one that we like loved, but I think they were all good.
The
They were all
rejects
good.
were amazing. Yeah, we should use
Yeah.
those for something.
Yeah. I love my Bellbird shirt. I can't wait to get another one. Some of these are weird. These are like questions from like 1996. Some of them are like describe your ideal Saturday night. wait, I'll try to find a more music relative one.
Are we on a date suddenly?
Yeah,
Speed dating
totally.
questions.
Yeah. Some of these are. Well, actually, this is funny because who is the band member most likely to go solo? I guess the answer is Ali, because Ali released a solo record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
Mhm.
Anybody
what
else
you mean.
planning on going solo?
We all have other
Yeah.
like things too. Like Eli has a project. Like we're playing a gig in April with
Mhm.
just Eli's music, and like I have various like projects that I start and stop over the years, and I mean Mili has a trio, so we all go solo sometimes.
Yeah,
but
yeah. But literally, solo would be me probably.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
solo.
Solo.
Yeah.
Although I am trying to write for like an 8-piece band.
Oh,
this year,
cool.
so yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
What instrumentation?
I don't know, but it's
Nice.
gonna be like a combo of woodwinds and strings and a drum.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Let's find another question. No, so you guys are gonna go. Are you gonna go on tour in the summer again? Or are you planning on doing that?
This summer, there's nothing planned. We're thinking
You
about-
mentioned Alberta.
yeah, that's going to be next January.
Oh, in January. That's right. Yeah.
We're planning, the next big tour we're doing is probably going to be in the fall.
For the album
For the album
launch.
release.
Yeah, we're going to the U.S. hopefully.
Nice.
You
you
know,
gotta get
visas
visas?
are kind of a nightmare, especially
Mhm.
right now with wait times and everything. So yeah, Allie is the only one who has the possibility to gig in the States already. So the other three of us have to figure that out. But we have enough time that hopefully we can make it happen.
Yeah, and we've gotten some pretty solid contracts and letters from people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great.
So, and yeah, like solid dates booked already and everything.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Right now, all of our dates are in New Hampshire.
Okay.
But there's like a couple really nice venues. One of my friends and colleagues, Taylor Hobynum, teaches at Dartmouth, and he likes to bring all of his free jazz weirdo friends up to educate the youths. And
Cool.
yeah, he was down to have us do like a master class and a gig on the campus this fall.
Nice.
So yeah, we're playing Dartmouth, and then we're playing Nova Arts, which is also in New Hampshire. And I'm working on booking with Mark Redmond, who runs Mandorla Music. It's kind of like this series outside of Boston, and he's gonna hook us up with like a Thursday night gig, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's like a lot of places in the East Coast U.S. So
Sure
there's
are.
opportunity to play. You know, well, you know, like it's harder to
venues.
tour in Canada because there's just fewer
Yeah.
people,
Oh,
fewer
no, you're right.
towns.
Yeah.
West Coast is even harder because if you're not going to the States, like you've got the islands. I mean, you got really cool smaller places, but it's just harder to get around.
What's the smallest space you guys have played in as Bellbird?
Probably my parents' house. No,
Yeah, yeah, that's really.
Really?
yeah,
House
yeah,
concert?
house show.
house concert. Yeah.
Whoa. How many people came?
Well, you've got a pretty big backyard.
Yeah, true.
We could have maybe
Oh,
played
okay.
a smaller one at some point.
Oh, it was a backyard?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's the biggest space available. Just outside.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
That's true.
What's the smallest audience we've played for though?
Oh, yeah.
Probably
Oh.
the first Guelph.
Silence.
Oh, Guelph, 3 people, right?
No, it was
Maybe
more than 3.
5.
It was.
I think it was 9.
Yeah, I feel like it was
Oh,
like
I
around
don't know.
10 if we include the
I
staff.
exaggerated
maybe.
it in my memory.
We could have played somewhere smaller, but
That was a sick venue. It was just like
Honestly,
I
fun
think
show.
weird timing.
there
for
was
the-
like something else happening that night in
Yeah.
Guelph, and
Yeah, and the students hadn't come back, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
those-
we played a crazy Drum to Burna gig that night. It started at
Oh, yeah.
2:30 a.m.
Oh.
and went to like 4, and it was like a
Dance
party.
music.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were so tired.
It was wild. We tried to like we did arrangements of like Animal Collective songs and
Oh.
Deer Hoof songs.
Okay.
And just stuff that had more of a groove for people to dance to and stay awake to at that time.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Then, like, this woman in the audience kept yelling at me and Allie, like, when are you going to sing?
Yeah. I was like, when are you going to leave?
That's so funny.
It's like, never.
So funny. You guys, just one of you has a bass clarinet, and it's just like, when are you gonna play my favorite song?
Oh my God, I love Nora Jones.
So funny.
That's great. I mean, there's something to be said about those like tiny gigs though, like lightly attended, like like less than 10 people gigs.
Yeah, because I feel like the people that are there are usually folks you know, or if they're not, you end up knowing them really well, and
Yeah.
they're almost always really, really sweet people.
They were super sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of played like both sides of the spectrum for the summer tour this year because
Yeah.
we played like, obviously the Jazz Fest has these bigger stages,
Yeah.
and that was amazing. But then playing like places like Moncton and Fredericton, Moncton people came out, which was great. Fredericton was just like, smaller crowd, but like, really cool people who were like really good listeners.
Yeah.
We've never like played a show where it's like really small and people are like,
That's the thing. Yeah, like those like lightly attended shows, everyone's into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Higher percentage of people are paying attention.
Yeah.
There's more accountability for them too. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
if
Yeah.
there's 3 people and one of them is spacing out. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
obvious
yeah.
too. So
Yeah, I
that's
remember,
part
I
of it.
remember my roommate telling a story when he first went to CAP, Jack
Yeah.
Kolish, and like
Hmm.
he went to Presentation House.
Presentation
and,
House is
because
what I
Jared
have
said he
in
was
my
playing
mind
there,
right now, yeah.
and he just walks in and the band's on stage and there's no one there.
Yeah.
And Jared's just like, "Oh, good, Jack's here. We can play." And he starts playing free.
Finally, our audience.
Yeah, that's a lot of
We've
pressure.
been waiting for you, Jack.
So you can't just turn around and walk out. That'd be
Yeah.
Yeah.
super noticeable.
Wait, so they were waiting for someone to show up before they started playing?
I guess so.
Just
Yeah.
a single person. Yeah.
Just gets mad at him like, "We've been waiting, man. Let's go."
The one person.
I mean, that some of my favorite like moments seeing music was like going to Tank 67, seeing like Dylan and Tommy Babin play, Dylan Vandershave, and like maybe Ron Samworth or somebody, and yeah, they're like just like it was just me and Carrie and Stefan, and like,
Okay. Wow.
and then they just played the most amazing music.
That's
and
such
it
a
was like,
stacked band too.
yeah, totally. That's just that just happens. We all these underground venues, and just you never know when people are going to come out. But like people who are like making free music, that's like really incredible. They're just down to do it, and whoever shows up, they're the lucky audience to catch it.
Yeah, and like I mean, that story that Jack gave you is funny because he was the only person there, and of course, like just knowing Jack, he would like turn it into that kind of story anyway. But like, I can remember, yeah, like going to certain shows where like I'm probably one of a handful of people in the audience, and like as far as my experience of it goes, like it doesn't matter at all if there's other people there. Like I'm not like pitying the band or anything like that.
Mm.
It's just,
Totally.
like,
Yeah.
I just understand that that's sort of how it goes,
Mhm.
and like I'm just happy to see the band.
Mhm.
And that's like what you described. It's just like, man, this band was so good, and
Mhm.
it's just
Yeah, that show had a huge impact on me,
yeah.
and yeah, it's almost was better that it was like our private show
Yeah.
because it wasn't. Yeah, like I felt like extra comfortable.
Yeah.
And those, they were always.
And it just happened to be a private show. It would have been way weirder if it turned out if you like booked a private show.
Yeah, you can't organize that experience. You have to. It has to happen organically.
But that happens though, right? Like people like wealthy people will be like, I want a private show with Bellbird. Or,
No.
like maybe not yet, but
We're-
it could happen.
That's
We're open.
maybe.
Please message us on Instagram.
Are we not giving you a show after the podcast today? You didn't. We
I'm
brought
not
our
letting
horns.
people know
you
about it. It's a private show. Yeah, but speaking of after the show, I think it's a good place to wrap it up. So, thanks for coming through to Vancouver, guys,
Oh man, our pleasure.
and just gracing our city with the music, and playing with me and playing with other people in the scene, and making those connections. It's good to have like that connection to like another city like that. Honestly, it's great.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
of course.
Yeah, peace.
Thanks again to Mili, Eli, Claire, and Allie for joining me and finally getting together to record this thing. I can't wait to have them back on in the future. Please be sure to check them out on Bandcamp and all the other streamers. I'm told they're low in stock on the physical CD copies of their album Root in Tandem, so go grab one now while they're available. If you liked this episode and you want to learn more about some of the newest and most cutting-edge jazz music being made in the country, then don't hesitate to subscribe to this podcast and also subscribe to the Rhythm Changes free weekly newsletter only at rhythmchanges.ca. Thank you as always, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye now.